Meeting to order. This is the meeting of the North Hudson Public Works Committee. This meeting has been properly noticed. Roll call will show that we do have a quorum. Two of the trustees are present. Supervisors, trustees. That was this morning. Yeah. Trustees tonight. Trustees Wecken and Stanifer are present, and Trustee Zappa is absent. And we also have our village engineer and our public works director. The minutes from our previous meeting, which was held on 19 July, have been distributed for your review. Any additions or comments to those minutes as drafted?
No, I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented for the 19 July 2011 Public Works meeting.
And I will second that. I assume that since you and I are the only two here, that is the extent of the discussion.
Yeah, I have nothing to add.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried, and those are approved. And I see that we do have our final pay request for the project in Station Circle. Kevin, any comments? Anything to say about that?
Yes. Well, we've done our final walk through the project on August 2nd, and there wasn't any items noted down for a punch list, things that need to be completed. The contractor has submitted the required compliance with prevailing wage rate forms, and a copy's been submitted to the village. So with that, we're recommending final payment in the amount of $8,397.93 to Zappa Brothers. And total project cost on the second page is just under $105,000. And I think total project costs with engineering and admin, I think we're going to be about $25,000 less as a whole project compared to the preliminary numbers that were presented. And when you calculate that out, I think each parcel is going to save about $600 to $700. So,
have we finalized the assessment portion of this for the affected property owners yet?
That'll actually come forth at the next board meeting, which would be the September one.
Okay. And this would be the final payment? There's no retainage
Nope.
in this, and all items are done? And
Yep. I don't know I think Mark and I are on the consensus that, yeah, there isn't anything that needs to be completed out there.
all right.
Restoration's coming in good, so.
Okay.
All right. Gentlemen, and I use the
Sir?
There you go.
You're including yourself, I assume, in that?
Loosely.
Well, with that report, Kevin, then Chair would entertain a motion to recommend to the full board the payment as indicated.
I will make a recommendation to the full board recommending the final payment in the amount of $8,397.93 to Zappa Brothers Inc.
Okay. And I will second that. Any additional discussion or comments? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. And we'll recommend then at the September meeting the final payment to Zappa Brothers. Project looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
overall,
looked at it,
yeah.
and I'm sure that the residents are pleased.
Yeah.
I thought it looked good.
Yep.
Next agenda item is the cleaning of the 3 sanitary sewer lift station, the wet wells. We've talked about this with some preliminary discussion before. Mark?
Okay. Basically, there's a memo that's been passed out to you. I met with the contractors listed on there, just basically to, they mostly done by phone contact and everything else, but basically to get the rates and what it would cost to actually have them come pump down and help with the clean out of the lift station. Basically, when these lift stations are being cleaned out, it'll be a joint thing between a contractor and the public works personnel. We'll actually use a fire hose, help wash down the wet well and everything else as they're pumping it, basically to break up the grease, try to get the solids to come off the bottom. You can see the rates we got from, or we required from all these contractors. One contractor, A1 Septic, basically they had never done this type of work before, and basically they thought it was best for them not to give us a price on it. You'll see the prices kind of jump around a little bit. The only thing you really need to note, the treatment plant, that says on the note on the bottom, only A1 is willing to land spread the waste and solids, which is what is requested by the treatment plant. Jim Schreiber at the treatment plant's a little worried about having the sediment and the grease chunks and everything else coming into the treatment plant. He'd rather see them be land spread, so.
And he does, Tri-State does have a place to do that,
Yes.
you're saying?
Tri-County has a place to do it. We did check with the DNR because a couple of these other ones that give us prices told us that they were informed that they could no longer land spread anything coming from a municipal system. So actually Jim Schreiber from treatment plant checked with the DNR and DNR said you can do it. They would prefer to have it go to a wastewater system, but it can be land spread. So we did check that out. The only thing with this basically is Tri-County Sanitation, they just basically were here an hour ago and looked at the actual wet well and looked at one of the wet wells with me to see what it would take. They have been in contact with Infratech, who was the first company I approached on this because they do quite a bit of this over in the cities for different municipalities. The only thing, if there would be some reason why Tri-County could not clean out all the way to the complete bottoms of the lift stations and get everything out, I guess they have talked to Infratech. Infratech would be willing to come over and finish, cleaning it out for them or helping them boost, the actual sediment off the bottom. So right now, I guess my feeling is I would. Well, first thing, I did have a discussion with Gloria, our administrator, today about this, just because of the cost and everything else. Basically, what her feeling is that this really does not have to go to a board because this is a maintenance issue, and we have maintenance funds available for the lift stations. So what she recommended is that we just basically set up a do not exceed limit for this.
What's puzzling to me,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what's puzzling is how can we compare apples to apples on this? For instance, Tri-State, or Tri-County Sanitation has the lowest per hour cost, and there is another one that's considerably more. But if Tri-County comes in and it takes them twice as long as the other company, I'm not saying that they would or wouldn't.
Correct.
Point is, I don't know.
Yes.
How do we know which one of these is the best bid?
Basically, with basically with any of them, Tri-County or Infratech, if they come in, basically they're charged from the time. Infratech basically is going to charge from the time they leave their shop in Rogers till the time they get back to their shop in Rogers. Tri-County and everything else, basically, if you're talking to Ben, they will charge from the time they're here until the time they dump the waste.
What are we, okay, can we ask, what are we looking at not to exceed, what dollar amount?
Basically, I'm looking at roughly $2,000.
Oh, okay, so historically, this has been about a $2,000 job.
Well, this will be the first time that we've had this done at this intensity. That's why it should be,
Okay.
that's
But
why
with the problems that we're having, this has to be
this
done.
has to be done.
Yeah, I don't question that. I'm not overly concerned. In fact, it might sound a bit, can Infratech land spread their, are they?
Actually,
capable
what
of
I found out today is Infratech, if they come over to do it, they're actually gonna,
transfer it to
they're gonna
Ben's?
transfer it through Tri-County, and Tri-County's gonna because basically,
Here,
they cannot take it back across the border with them.
I don't really care. It's a $2,000 job, not to sound cavalier about it, but the reason these are all these other septic service are usually just one-man guys, and they're not used to doing this. That's why you're seeing the rates all over the place. Ben's willing to do it, and he can land spread it. I say, why not go, and if Infratech has to come in and clean up, we have, and give it to Ben, and he can land, if they're gonna do it. I agree with you, $2,000 limit, and pick whoever you want to do it. At that point, if, as far as we're concerned, if there's a $2,000 limit on it, I'd be almost inclined, if Infratech could land spread it, I'd almost go with them, because they know it, they have done it before, and they'll come in and probably be the most efficient, even if they do drive all the way from
Well,
Rogers.
if we're gonna have Infotech do it, you know, else, I think they'd actually clean them, you know. Biggest thing is I'd probably raise the amount just because.
I know,
road
all
time.
I'm saying is that the rate per hour in this particular case is informative, and it gives us an idea, but, you know, if we set a limit to it, what difference does it make to us if we're agreed that if we're gonna spend $2,000, you figure it out.
That's basically what Gloria and my discussion were this afternoon was, it is a maintenance issue. It's, you know,
Well,
basically. it's
what's the
same-
pleasure of the committee? Is there a motion?
I'll move to have the, and this is is this a budgeted item, or is this coming out of a maintenance fund?
This is actually, it's coming out of our 201 fund and everything else, which is, we have a $30,000.
Yeah, there's a
budget.
balance there,
There's a
so.
balance, yeah.
All right, with that in mind, I'll move to have have 3 sanitary sewer lift station wet wells cleaned at a cost not to exceed $2,000.
Second.
And the motion presumes at the discretion of the Public Works Director, based on these bids, or are you designating Tri-County?
I think it's fairly clear that we need to use Tri-County for the land spreading capability, and it may have to use Infotech, but I'll leave that up to the Public Works Director, however.
Yeah,
you
I'm
can-
agreeable with that, just so it's understood
Yeah.
that's
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
name anybody in our motion. I think it's. I
at the
think-
discretion of the Public Works Director not to exceed $2,000.
Yeah,
Second.
in my second, yeah, and I just, you know, I mean, I'm a big fan of local businesses and stuff like that, so I hope that'll be, you know, the Public Works Director will take that into consideration to try to have a local, especially since Tri-County's gonna have to do the land spreading. I
Yeah.
mean, seems like
Okay, we have a motion on the floor then to clean the 3 lift stations at a cost not to exceed $2,000, and utilizing contractors at the discretion of Public Works Director. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. And that'll come out of the 201 fund, and we do have a balance there. Number 5, possible sale of the old F-350. And I see there's a proposed notice to bidders, and I like it. And
Basically,
discussion?
basically, if, what we're looking at is selling the 99 F-350 with the contractor's body and Boss V plow. Basically, we'll just put this in, we'll post this and also place it in the paper for 2 weeks, and we have a deadline on the September 15th at 4 o'clock.
Refresh
And then
my
we'll bring it
memory.
back to the next Public Works Committee meeting.
Are we able in this process to have a minimum? Or once this is open, we have to accept?
No, we can reject all
We can
bids.
reject all
All
bids.
right.
so we're-
I
Yeah.
couldn't remember. I didn't know
Yeah.
if we were bound by something. on that.
Reject
Okay.
bids.
Yep.
Do we have a minimum?
I have not sat down and figured out one, though, not at this time.
Okay.
I think this is good. We need to
Yep.
dispose of that. And any objection?
Nope.
I think it probably would be good to have a motion indicating that we'll advertise it and sell it. Chair would entertain such a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to have the Public Works Director pursue the notice to bidders to sell the 1999 Ford F-350 with contractor's body and Boss V plow. Mileage time of sale will be approximate, and the vehicle will be sold as is, and can be viewed at Northwoods Public Works.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that is carried. Excellent. Get that one moved. Mark, consideration of various public works maintenance projects. We've got some items. Tell us about them.
No, basically, we now, where it says we have repair of 4 storm sewer catch basins, actually, we now have 5. Found another one the other day.
Oh, we just can't get caught up with those rascals.
Basically, we have 2, what it is, we have two two of the catch basins are in poor condition where actually the sinkholes are actually in the streets. So it's actually,
Oh,
you know,
funneling out to there?
yeah. And basically, those are the ones that are probably, you know, are definitely the most dangerous for, you know, traffic and everybody else. The other three are all sinkholes that form behind the curbs, actually behind the curb line. So the catch basins still need work, most likely grout work, reconstruction, something like that. But basically, they're not as important. We can keep filling in behind them to make this last. I sat down with Gloria because we were discussing whether we could possibly get the funds to actually repair these. And if you look at, I handed out a little packet, looks like this. If you look at page, on this thing, it'll actually be page 40, which will be towards the back of the packet. That last sheet. In there's a contracted professional services. We put $10,000 budgeted in that out of the storm utility funds. And then basically what we were going to do with that, what we discussed during the budget thing last year, is to actually use that for cleaning and televising storm sewers. Gloria's recommending that if we're going to do some work, is that we actually take it out of there, not to, since basically I told her that right now it's probably more important to actually get those catch basins repaired than it is to, you know, do the
Look
sewer
for more
televising.
troubles.
I'm not saying that with that money that's in there, everything else that we're going to repair all of them. Myself, I'm looking at only repairing the ones that are definitely in need, especially the ones that have sinkholes in the streets. Largest question I got is, and this is something that has been asked, I know at different committee meetings and stuff, or different board meetings, as far as advertising on projects like this. Normally, what we did when I first initially started here, everything went out for bid. Then it came out to we're only required to bid at a certain amount. We're actually to place out for bids. So basically, with us not getting, basically it was always the same contractors that were always bidding on, or the same contractor was always bidding on these projects. We just basically, to save money on the advertisement, we just
But these are such small little
we
projects.
just been
that they're
making
not-
contact. But I guess at the last meeting, it was brought up by a board member if these actually went out to bid, and that he was told yes, that they were, and basically it was made mostly by contracts, you know, by contacts that I knew and everything else.
You'll
So,
be missing one contractor most likely.
so basically, so my question that I've been asked, you know, one question I'm asking is if this committee would prefer that we start bidding out even all these small jobs, even though it costs, you know, usually $90 to $100 an ad. You know. So I guess that's my question that I'm asking on this.
I doubt that we would get any more interest if we would bid these tiny little projects out than what we've got right now with the contractor that does them. Would be my view. They're just.
Well, maybe we'll get some new entrepreneur and say, hey, I can go clean up these little jobs, you know, so I don't know, I mean, bidding out isn't a bad thing. I mean, what is it, is it a time issue, or, I mean.
Oh, basically, if,
Cost of the legal notice, I suppose.
Yeah, so, I mean, yeah, but with little tiny projects, I mean, we need to get them done, and, you know, especially for the snow flies or whatever, so. I can go either way.
I
I'm
don't.
gonna stay out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
I can offer an opinion. I know, like, how the city of Hudson kinda does theirs, and as Mark is alluding to, when you get under a certain dollar amount, bidding isn't required. They tend to go with where they're gonna get the effective job done, and most contractors, if they're there, understand the dollar thing, and they're doing it. It's kind of a standard deal, but given my, you know, obvious relationship with the
Right.
contractor we're talking about, I don't wanna say too much, but I have historically, with any of the outside contractors we've used, I've always been in favor of trying to use the same ones, because ultimately, at least the guys I know, are always doing the best shot, because they don't take much for granted in that direction. And from experience, these little jobs require a certain expertise that not everybody wants to get set up to do. And right now it makes, we're, I think, fortunate up here in that we don't need a large public works department because we happen to have somebody up here who does that kind of work. And not to pump that up, but I know Gary does a lot of work for the city of Hudson too.
Well, it's a big plus. We don't have to have the equipment, the capital assets.
Well, it's kind of like our snow plowing program. People might criticize it, but I'd rather pay for an hourly rate when you're using
So would I.
somebody than pay for the equipment
So would I.
and personnel and all that. So I kind of view this in the same category. And if we lose a contractor for just for the bidding process, I'd be awfully disappointed. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there's a chance of it.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I think that's, you know, input very good. I agree.
Well, I think Mark's alluding to Dan's
Right.
legitimate question.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, no question, but for little tiny jobs like this, nobody's gonna bid them anyway.
Yep, yep. So you're recommending that we've got one where we've got a liability issue because it's extending into the
Actually got
street.
two.
Two.
We have one at
Two.
the Deer Path.
But the ones that are
Summers,
behind the curb cut
One behind the curb cut,
can be delayed.
we could fill them in, they could be delayed. Gloria asked me if there's any way that some of them could be done next year. Those we could possibly fill in, we just have to make sure we keep up on them, you know, but it's just a cost
For
thing this time.
Where I'm gonna come from the rest of the year on these fix-it jobs, I'm gonna look at them real close, and I appreciate your hesitancy just to fix them all. Maybe we're gonna have to wait
Right.
on some of these.
No question.
It's just gonna have to be.
We can't
Oh,
do,
absolutely.
we can't do
That's where I'm
everything.
gonna be on these things. It's not it's not to dismiss your opinion, but it's just a purely budgetary item.
And safety issue, and public safety issue.
Yeah, if we have, well, I would say the standard, if a small child can fall in the hole, we should fix it. Other than that, I'd be less inclined to. I'm joking. But yeah, but if it's something we gotta fix, or if it's a sinkhole behind the curb, if we can get by with throwing a little fill in it once in a while, we might have to do that till we get this thing straightened out.
I think the consensus here, listening to the discussion, is to proceed with the two that are extending into the street, delay the others until next year. Is there a motion to that effect?
Yes.
Second.
Well, basically what I'll do is, I don't know if you really want to make a motion. Basically what I can do is I will have a contractor give me a price. I will bring it to you at the
Let's
next
do
meeting,
that.
and then you guys will have the price in front of you too.
Okay,
Yeah.
We'll just give
All
a
right.
directive on,
Good plan.
proceed with getting the information, but what we want to do is fix the two that we have got a street issue.
Yeah, and having a number to come back to the board with would be good.
yeah, they might be over 10. If it's over 10, we're gonna be in tough shape.
Yeah.
Okay. Sidewalk repair, Mark.
Basically, this was something that we discussed last year. We stuck it in the capital improvement budget for $25,000. Basically, this was something that would have to go out for a loan. And since we basically were not ready at the time we did the St. Croix Station project, my conversation with Gloria is possibly, if the board is, or if this committee is still interested in this as a project, is to do it, to move it to the 2012
I would prefer that.
budget and do it then.
I have no interest in it.
Yeah, I know.
Do we need a motion to move it to next year?
No, we'll just delay that one and
right.
pick that up at a later date. The cleaning televising project, we've essentially
Use up
deferred
those
that one
funds, yes.
because we just have,
Same thing as if we want, we could move this to the 2012 budget.
well, we'll pick it up for discussion.
Yeah.
Salt storage.
Basically, this is, I met with the Tom Zuli with the city of Hudson regarding salt storage, handling, stuff like that, both last year and this year, or this coming year. Basically, both his largest that he would like to see, and also myself, would be for us to be able to store more salt ourselves on hand. And that would save them for having to have somebody come back in to load our trucks when we're up there and everything else. Basically, what we have up there now is our bin up there right now, basically can hold enough salt for Denny's 2 trucks before they go out. Then to be able to load out of that can go out of it. And basically what, the conversation I had with Tom, he would like to see that we could be able to store enough for, at least 6 trucks. So I don't know if we just build more bins. or-
Yards,
Huh?
for six-yard trucks load.
Yeah, they're 6-yard trucks.
40 yards.
And why would they like us to do that?
Basically what it is, but the problem we had last year and everything else is, we go out at different times.
So,
They go out, they at times will get called out earlier than us most of the time, and especially if they're doing, if they're doing Second Street in Hudson, or the streets down there, they start extremely early in the morning, and then they're done by 11 o'clock in the morning.
we start at
basically-
9 in the morning.
Yeah, and we're out from 4 until whatever time we get done, and then if we're just going out salting and everything else, we might not need salt until they've already left. So what we've already arranged is that we have times that we will go load, but Tom is also requesting if we can just hold more salt.
And what would it cost us to potentially do that?
I am still working on those numbers.
And what kind of solution are you working on?
Basically,
Are you trying to build a bin?
I'd like to build, well, right now we got a small bin now, and everything else, I'd
What's
like to
that
see,
made
look
out?
at
Is
some
that out
kind
of
of,
concrete?
no, just wood.
Just wood?
Yep, and we're having to fix it every year.
How much room do we have up there?
With the international being moved inside and everything else, we have,
What I'm getting at is if you calculated space needs,
Mhm.
if we go, say, 4 foot high, or are you trying to get higher, and what's your plan?
basically, I don't wanna get too awful high of a thing unless
Right.
we're gonna have some kind of a roof assembly on it,
Mhm.
because basically you have to get the
Exactly.
tarps on
No,
and
I got
off.
you.
And so basically what we have there now is basically a 12 by 12, well, 12 by 16, about 4-foot high sidewalls.
Okay.
And we keep the moisture off with only a tarp, that's it?
That's the only thing we're using is tarp.
We did it for
And we do
years.
have-
It's okay
Yeah.
in the wintertime, because if you're using it regularly
Yeah.
enough, you're going through it.
And plus, yeah, we're going through it fairly fast, and then when we also, there's times we have to break up chunks, but usually when they come out of a truck,
Yeah.
into the bin.
We don't have much choice, because to build a structure for this, we don't have the money for that.
Oh, no.
Quonset hut. Oh, wait, never mind. The Quonset hut.
Boy, I would eat that Quonset hut up in about,
Yeah, and plus that's too
One
short.
winter.
you know, and-
You
No,
get in
I
there
was
with a
just-
wheelbarrow.
hypothetically
As a
speaking,
joke.
if we stored more of this ourselves, would this be delivered to us directly from the supplier, or would it still pass through the city area?
We
I'm
would-
trying to see what would our cost per ton be for the use of the salt if we were storing it this way as opposed to picking it up
The only
as
thing,
we do
the only
now
thing
from
you're
the
gonna
city.
save is the handling with the city. Basically,
I think
But
Daryl's
the-
asking you, would it be delivered to,
well, no, because when it comes in, it basically comes in at 25 tons a truckload. And there's
Okay,
no
so
way
we,
we could
so
go
we'd
up.
still have to go get it and bring it up here. So we'd handle it one more time.
We just basically, we would make sure, well, we'd handle it the same amount of times we do now. Just basically, we'd be trucking more when it's available for Hudson to actually have somebody up there, It'd be easier for them, they could have somebody up at a certain time. They could load up our trucks, we take them back, dump them, and just be able to store them more.
I don't have a problem in the off times going and getting 4 or 5 loads, running them from their shop up to North Hudson to stockpile for ourselves. That, I get where Tom's coming from on that, and if they're not gonna drop it off, I'm sure they don't wanna split where they drop it off, they're just gonna drop it all off in Hudson. I think our biggest challenge here is to get some sort of construction that can keep the salt contained enough so you can push it, load it up. You got any old cement barricade, the road dividers that we could line up?
You mean high ones? No.
Yeah,
The
4 or 5.
concrete, no.
Anybody got some?
Highway dividers?
Yeah.
I don't know, I could check with county, see if they have any.
Yes. That would be our best bet, something like that.
Yeah,
That
like
way
a
we
bunker
can-
silo.
Yeah, and then we can push against it, because wood doesn't last.
Yeah,
and
that's the biggest thing.
Salt is horrible on most materials, so we could still tarp it, maybe have a little bigger area to keep salt, but, I don't know if you have any other type of material you're thinking about, but that would be,
Right
they
now,
might
with-
have some.
with the cost of, also it'd be nice if it was hard surface, but it's just,
Weezer down there, see if they got any ones that aren't quite right,
Mm.
something
Yeah.
that they can't sell somebody.
Well, look into it a little bit more and
Yep.
give
Yeah,
us a
This is just something
recommendation.
I wanted to bring up for discussion, just to,
In the meantime, I could check with the county and see if we've got any.
He means
No
county
barriers.
concrete. Didn't you mean county
I
concrete?
was thinking also the highway department, if
Oh,
they have anything
yeah,
that pulled off the
absolutely.
interstate, they might have a pile of them laying
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even some chipped, ones that aren't good enough for their use, absolutely.
What's the concrete place down at Plum City? Is it?
Weiser.
Or Weiser? Because they make bunker silo.
They do, yeah, they do all,
Yes.
that's why I said give them, they might, you never know, but somebody might have some rejects they can't sell or don't meet state specs or something. You know, we don't care, it's just a,
Well, look into it and bring us some more information. 2012 Public Works budget. Any
Basically,
discussion items on that?
yeah, basically I gave, my budget numbers to Gloria, day before yesterday, I think it was. And basically I know she's been pretty busy with something else, and I have not received any of the forms back, or the actual budget back, so I don't know. I can, kinda show you what I did as far as Public Works. Take one and pass it down. Basically, this is kind of a breakdown, explanation of what's in each category within our budget. And basically, going through the budget and everything else, places that we seen increases and stuff like that over the last couple of years. Gloria's been pretty insisting that we actually get those to be more realistic numbers.
Are the figures off to the side, the
Yeah, it's either a
increase from
plus
last
or a
year?
minus
Yep.
from last year, you know.
beg your pardon,
And basically, at the end, at the very end of the bottom of the second page, you'll see it comes up to actually plus 1,500.
so you're saying next year's budget is gonna be $1,500 higher?
As of
You're
right
not- You're
now,
not coming in $1,500 higher for this year, this isn't, these aren't actual numbers here, these are just budgeted.
these are
numbers.
budget numbers for next year, based on what we're looking at for this year's.
But in terms of actual to budget, we should wind up 2011 under budget as far as actual expenditures.
Well, basically, what we're looking at is you might, we should, yes. And I'm thinking of right now, any category that we're, and there is places in here where, you know, we can cut, you know, but
Well, if we get through the
we're gonna be starting the budget process and everything else.
November and December with no snow or throwing salt.
Strap the blade. Strap the blade, dude, and we're gonna be cutting, and so let's sharpen up that razor.
But like I said, basically, she is still getting her budget together and everything else. I guess it's gonna be ready for the September board packet. Fine. And basically what I did with the crack trail seal coat, all those are the same numbers as last year.
The projected decline in the curb and line painting is because of the
Getting
purchase of the.
Getting the purchase of the new machine.
machine.
And it'll probably be, basically what I did is I took 500 out of it, but I figure we're also gonna need stencils and all that stuff, so I didn't wanna cut it by too much. I'm hoping it will actually be, even less as we get going, but it's one of those things I really don't know yet.
Well, we will revisit these as we get into the budget process. Any comments from any committee members?
Offhand,
Don't know where we're gonna find the extra 1,500, but
you know how you can do it. I mean, just know the snow plowing when that's a shot in the dark. Can't sleep at night, but I mean, might placate you for an evening of budget
And
session.
basically, I believe that, especially the operating supplies with what salt rates are coming in and everything else, I believe that one, the operating supplies could be lowered some.
well, that's good. Kevin?
Just a couple things. One handout, well, a couple handouts, just like we were talking about last month. The Pine Street and Lake Lakeview Drive, originally we're looking at doing a full utility and street improvements. And there was discussion just to bring back some numbers of what it would take just for doing like what we did up on St. Croix Station, basically doing a resurfacing project up in that area. And at the bottom, Pine Street, around $75,000 for that work. And then Lakeview Drive, around $65,000. That would remove the existing asphalt, do some common excavation up there, bring some new gravel back in, put 3 inches back down, and some restoration. So that's for informational, I guess.
Neither of these have curbs, right? I know.
What's that?
Neither of these streets have curbs, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, it's just a urban or a rural section, pretty much.
Small section of Pine Street on both ends have some curb, but not the full length of the street.
Yeah. And then the other thing I want to bring up is, I guess the LRIP, Local Road Improvement Program, is coming up again for this year. According to the application, everything needs to be submitted to the Highway Commissioner by November 1st of this year. So maybe that's something you would want to put on your agenda for next month and discuss if you're going to apply for it.
And that's only a collector road again, is it?
That would be just for a local street. So it would not include like a collector or arterial street.
Okay.
So, and maybe, you know, with Lakeview Drive, that would be one that you would want to look at least applying for. So,
Well, there isn't any downside to apply, as I recall. I mean, that still doesn't mandate that we do it.
yeah, it doesn't lock you in that you have to do it. Yeah. You would just apply for those funds. And we've done it before in the past where there's a one-time substitution that you can do. Actually, you did get funded for Lakeview Drive. We substituted those funds towards the St. Croix Station project back in 2007, so.
Why don't you be prepared then for next month for us to look at an LRIP application
Okay,
for possible submission?
all right.
I mean, I don't see any downside in doing it. You
No,
guys?
I have no
Engineering
interest in either
costs.
one
Yeah.
of those projects, but that's fine.
Yeah. You guys can, discuss, maybe there's
Really
one.
can't see biting in any of either one of these projects
Yeah.
this year or next year or in,
Yeah, I think you have like you have 5 years to use the
Yeah.
funds, so. Like
Yeah.
Darryl
just
said,
adding a little texture, but to apply, but
Well, maybe on a couple of these streets, if instead of snow removal, we could pack it down, real compactly, and have it last through the summer.
there you go.
Yeah. Just a thought.
Like,
Anything else?
That's it.
Mark?
No report?
Okay, nice and short.
do.
Gentlemen, our agenda is completed. We're adjourned.